Recordings of council meetings or parts thereof cannot be copied, recorded, reproduced, reused, transmitted without prior written consent of the general manager. The meeting is being recorded and will be made publicly available on council's website. Persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Council acknowledges that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra and Darug peoples, and we pay and respect the history and culture of elders both past and present. I'd ask Johnny Lush to lead us in prayer. Any of councillors who wish to leave the meeting during prayer are permitted to do so.
Let me pray. Please bow your heads with me. Our loving Father, we thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy in our great country, Australia. As we gather here this evening, we're particularly thankful for the freedoms in our political process. We thank you for our wonderful town, for Oberon, Lord. Thank you for its beauty, for the friendly and loving community that we enjoy here, for all the opportunity that our town brings for those who call it their home. We thank you for the rain that we've seen to bring it green again, Lord. We ask that you continue to bless us with more. We bring before you each of our town's elected councillors this evening. Thank you for their commitment to serving our town and its people. Bless each one as they fulfil their commitment to this office. In your strength, might they govern with honesty and integrity. We ask your blessing on this meeting this evening, that the decisions made here would be in the best interests of our town and its thriving, which is ultimately under your care. Give all those present here the wisdom and discernment they need for all that needs to be achieved this evening. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus, our Saviour. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Clive, could you ask Katie and Ian? Oh, thank you. Record of attendance. I know that all councillors are present, and there are no leaves of absence. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, pecuniary or non-pecuniary?
I only have a declaration of interest, which is a non-significant, less than significant. It's not pecuniary, just in relation to mentioning the hall committee throughout one of the documents in the business papers. But I will be remaining. There's nothing.
Yep. Any other declarations of interest? We note the declaration of interest of Councillor Hayden. We move to item 6, confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting of the 17th of February 2026. The recommendation is the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 17th of February 2026 be confirmed. Have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, Councillor O'Connor. Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
As recommendation.
Councillor O'Connor. Any other discussion? All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go to page Merrill Minute 7.1, Merrill Minute Report. The recommendation is the report item 7.01 is received information. I'll move it. Could I have a second, please? Thanks. Councillor O'Connor. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Hayden. Oh, sorry. Second first, yes.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just got a couple of points or questions. The first one, I think Gary might have explained to me. So when the community has their opportunity in their presentation now, at the end of that, in the past, we've written a response which went into our business. Is that no longer applies? That's right.
That's correct. That's correct. Because it doesn't form part of the meeting. Yeah, the public forum is distinct under our code, and what the minister's direction is, it's separate from the meeting.
And there's no reply that goes on the website, our council website.
Not at this stage. I mean, we could move that something. We could have a section called public forums, and we can include answers on it or something.
Well, that might be to a later meeting we could discuss that.
Yeah.
I've had a question regarding, in terms of your outline here. There was a meeting on the 18th to the 12th with Andrew Riggs, and last meeting in your Merrill Minute, you said you'd provide minutes of that meeting.
I thought they're on the portal. I think, Sharon, did we put those on the portal? They're on the portal.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. No, that's all. Thank you very much.
Councillor Hayden, you first.
Okay, yes, I was just going to, mention the meetings with CTWA, they were just through your, tenure, weren't they? On the 5th of March, for the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Regional Health Policy Lab, will we get a, update on that at some point?
I didn't attend that. Councillor Trembath attended it and Councillor Graham attended it.
Will there be an update?
So I'll ask them. We'll get some minutes from the JO as well.
Okay, thank you. And just on, the 13th of February regarding Crown Lands property management with the dam wall access at Burriga.
Yes, so I attended a meeting out at the band with the Burriga District Community Association because there was some angst about they couldn't access their foot valves because of concerns WH&S. So Crown Lands have come back with a training program to authorise certain people at the Burriga District Community Association to be able to do that. So the matter is principally resolved subject to, I think, the training, but they are allowing access to it because I know after we got the huge downfall recently, they had an issue. So I think it's been resolved amicably.
And if you could just elaborate on 2nd of March with the Honourable Paul Scully, Minister for Planning and Public Spaces, regarding the second phase implementation of the reforms of the planning system.
I thought that letter was circulated to everyone, but I'll just, we'll put it on the portal.
Okay, thank you.
It was an information letter as to where it got to with the second. I was the impression it had been circulated to everyone, but if not, we'll put it on the portal.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just, have you got any further information on the closure of Mount Victoria Pass at all?
We have information is that they're putting on more publics. If there is information, there's more trains being put on to cater to go to Lithgow and Bathurst. And the timetable, I think, has recently come out. I did look on Saturday and I couldn't see the updated timetable, but I'm assuming it's going to be. We've also had information about Transport for New South Wales is proposing alternate routes. Some of the alternate routes do not suit us because they have neglected thus far to refer to Goulburn up through Taralga to here and other routes that can access Oberon. They're looking more at Dubbo, Falls, etc. at this stage. Or coming down through Mudgee. So we're working closely with the JO on this, and we have been working. I've also been working with the Deputy Mayor of Bathurst and Councillor Bruce Reynolds from Blaney, because this little area we believe is the most effective because we have probably the least alternate routes. So we have approached the Minister for a specific grant to assist with tourism and other ventures in this area for those three councils. The JO has also been working with the government and they are having daily meetings with the government, and I'm getting updates from Kate Parker every day, who's acting head of the JO, about the issue. But I do know that some of the alternate routes they're proposing at the moment don't suit us, so we've gone back. The general manager I know has gone back on that as well, haven't you? Yeah, and
Was today.
today. So yeah, we're working the issue. Obviously, the fuel situation is also not helping, not because it's also getting the fuel to us because of Senior Hill's very steep and is not a great truck route, as we all know.
Yep.
So they have to look at alternate routes for supplying fuel into this area. Obviously, as you go further out, Wellington Dubbo, you can go sort of down to Yass and up, or round the Golden Highway much more easily. So we are working very closely with Transport for New South Wales and with the government. Obviously, you know, you've seen the recent 3 months. My concern is, and I don't know this, that it could be longer because by the time the investigation and they go out to tender to have it fixed and we go through the whole process, it could be a much lengthier exercise. So yes, there are a number of challenges in this. And as I have said, that area is geologically challenging, that whole face of the Victoria Pass there.
Thank you.
So I don't think anyone knows the solution until the full investigation's been done. And what the impacts are really. Yes, Councillor McCarthy.
Mr Mayor, I'm just wondering whether RMS or whatever they call themselves today could rekindle their archives in respect of Keith Sullivan, Lee Robbins, Bob Hooper, myself attended a meeting at Little Hartley School, and it was proposed by the RMS then, or RTA I think they were called then, short tunnel, went under Mount Vic and come out on the other side. Surely those plans must be still in train.
Those plans are still around, and when they, because I specifically asked, they were looked at when the previous government proposed the tunnel from Blackheath.
Yep.
There was a short tunnel, which was one of the thoughts, and I think that was more akin to what the one that you talking about now, and then there was the longer tunnel which went back to Blackheath. So there were two options at that stage. I mean, there was one alternative that was to the Megalong Valley from the Hawkesbury, but that was deemed too expensive. But the next one, and there was a short one that came out somewhere between Mount Victoria or somewhere around there, and between there and Blackheath. And there was a longer one that came out Blackheath, and the government then decided, in your call, decided on the Blackheath one, which was slightly longer than the one you looked at. We have pushed the government to say, whatever you do now is only really going to be a stopgap, and there has to be a long-term solution. But you and I know that the government is reluctant to spend money on this.
Yeah, I understand that, but surely goodness in their archives, they must know that this plan exists and was fully ready to go. And it had to be funded.
And the long tunnel was also from Blackheath was planned.
Okay.
And the dual carriageway from Katoomba to Blackheath to get into it had been on exhibition for the community in the Blue Mountains.
Yep.
The concept design was there. They'd actually done the design. So it was pretty well ready to go. They'd gone through all the community consultation, you know, all of the pre-approval stuff.
Anyway, thank you.
Anyone else? Question? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Carried unanimously. We go. Notice of motion 8.1 playground equipment. The motion is that council use funds from the TIP fund, scrap metal income, to supply funds to provide a swing similar to the new one at the Common in Armstrong Place Park, Binderweir Avenue Park, and new Oberon sports site. Councillor McCarthy, moving the motion.
Yeah, I put this up in
So
respect.
we need a seconder first. Sorry, seconder, Councillor Hayden, thank you.
You see in our grants officer, we make a grant, request a grant. We're competing with 300 and something other councils plus other private identities to try and get this. This isn't the whole playground equipment. This is just a swing. It's a start. So let's get on. We get this money from the scrap steel. It's donated into the tip. No one gets paid for it, but I think it's an avenue that we could use, and let's get on and get something done for the kids.
Thanks, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm supporting councillor McCarthy's motion. I have read the director's notes, and I am also mindful that when the playground equipment was removed, that much of that would have been scrap, as in the stainless steel that would have then been fed through to our tip fund with the scrap metal income. So I'm happy to support using that fund to put a swing in Armstrong Place, Glendore Avenue. The only question I have is, have we got a site ready to put a piece of playground equipment at the new Oberon Sports Complex?
Okay, well, I'll ask the gentleman.
Because I just wanted clarity, because it says Oberon Sports Site. I gather it's the new complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
General
I'll
Manager.
get through the chair, there's a location that put
Okay.
aside for that type of stuff.
Okay, well, if that's the case, you know, I am happy to support this. I do know that down the track, we still have a motion that is in place to get grant funding to finish doing the playgrounds, but at the meantime, just to give them something, because I have been asked as well, I'm happy to support this.
Okay, thank you. Yes, councillor Trimble.
I'd like to be against this motion, and I don't agree with taking money from the tip fund, as that's not its purpose. It should be treated in a manner consistent with waste. The Waste Working Party has met the last year and developed a waste strategy to meet changing legislation that we have to meet. And these funds will be needed to assist with key actions identified that are going to incur costs to implement. There is no, and we spend a lot of money to get that waste strategy developed. To ensure we continue as we endorsed in our back to basics budgeting, the cornerstone of such a strategy is to be well planned and informed and not cherry picking items. And not to mention that we do have a resolution of council already in play with regards to playgrounds, maybe not the sports complex. And we also have a survey out at the moment asking what are the biggest concerns for Oberon residents, with the opportunity for our community to comment on the recreation facilities. So it's in there and we're asking them to give us their feedback. And I really believe we should wait on those results. We also have a grant application with Veolia Mulwari for 156,000 that would fund approximately 50% of the project expenditure that the director indicated in her note. And I think it's best to wait on that as well before we can't just go grabbing money. I don't know if you manage your budgets at home like this, that you just go, you put something aside for something in particular, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm just going to take it to do something over here. It is tip fund money for waste. It's not for playgrounds. So that's why I wouldn't support the motion.
You know,
Through the chair, yeah,
I councillor Lee.
I basically support the director's note that I agree we should have the playground equipment, but I think we need to keep it in the recommendation of the money coming from specific areas that it was used for. Not the waste fund.
Where else?
Think can we still do the job and do the thing and use that money? So
Well, I think there's been some other funding suggestions put down the bottom here. Are you suggesting any of them?
well, I'm just going by the director's note to use those funds here for 30,000, 26,000.
Or reprioritise town improvement projects?
Yeah.
So can I ask the director, so if we're looking at 3 swing sets, are we looking at 39,000?
Yes.
Yes, councillor Clark.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's a difficult one, Councillor McCarthy. I think as Councillor Trimble has said, we're back to basics now, and each of our monthly meetings shouldn't be taken up by one-off little items, which may on themselves be very important, but that's why we do a budget every year and allocate the funds every year. We shouldn't start down this process of just looking at different specific little projects. I think we need to stick back to basics. Thank you.
Councillor McCarthy.
I submitted this because, like I said, in the report, the kids are missing out. It's an avenue. We don't budget to put the scrap metal in. We just take what's out there. But as to relocating funds, it gets under my skin that we reallocated road funding for the project down at O'Connell to meet the setback for the water distribution point. Now we have a councillor contradicting that we shouldn't be moving money around. What really upsets me, the ones that are missing out are the kids. The kids have had all their playground equipment removed, and you get complaints about them riding the push bikes down the footpath here, you don't know where to play. We used to have playground fully equipped. It's gone. This is just a start. And I was led to believe the swings and that were only about 7,000, but the directors told me different. And the one down the Common's a terrific job. It's got the softball, it's got the retaining wall, and that's what I bet marked the notice of motion on, but I was told that it was only about 7. But anyway, I'm happy to be wrong, but I'm supporting this because we've got to make a start somewhere. We need to promote, get the kids off the street and into the parks.
Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. I'll put the motion. All in favour? Councillor Leveris, Hayden, McCarthy and Tucker. All against? Barth, O'Connor, Graham, Lee and Kibben. Motion as well. 8.2, footpath at the corner of Dart and Fleming Streets. The motion that council install a concrete path from existing footpath to curb at the corner of Dart and Fleming Streets when new street light was installed. Councillor McCarthy.
So, Mr. Mayor, I thought the same because one of
Well, we
the,
have a second then? That's fine, thank you.
one of the people come to me and they said you can't access from as you come along Fleming Street over towards the library. I thought what I put in was a simple solution. Apparently it's not, so I'm happy with the solution. I'm sick of it.
Hayden?
Yes, I'm happy to support this motion. I went down and had a look at this section before I came to council. It does make sense to have a footpath connection there. It doesn't make sense spending money putting a light there and not having a footpath there. So the light was put there so that it would eliminate trip hazards. But we have, as everyone keeps saying, an ageing community, and it would make more sense to put a proper footpath in there and have that done, and at the same time doing that, fix up that in-car parking area in Fleming Street that is quite a mess as well. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden. Anyone else? Councillor Trimble.
I have an alternate motion. Sharon, forgive me, and it's not to do away with this at all. I totally agree we need to look at it, so we'll just get the motion on. Joan, could we just add the after connectivity, including the parking in Dart Street?
You have the second. Councillor O'Connor.
Okay, I do believe that we do need to recognise the safety in our community, and I have always noticed, even when we were voting, what was happening with all of the disabled parking and how it was very difficult for people to come in and stepping over the blister. But I think we should wait on a report back to council, and so we're undertaking a back to basics approach for all our decisions, and we make the best decision for our community. We need to have all the details, and this notice of motion does not have that level of detail currently. But if we wait and have the director come back with a full report with all the costs and what it involves, I think then we'll be well informed to make that decision.
Thank you, sir.
Councillor O'Connor.
I too support councillor McCarthy and councillor Hayden's comments. It's an area, that corner is an area that needs tidying up. It's very high use, and it's used by people who are sometimes unsteady on their feet or might be disabled. So I think it's a fantastic idea to look at this, but do it in whole, as a whole. Thank you.
Councillor Hayden.
Look, I've supported the first motion. I am happy with that. I'm also happy to support this as well. But I was wondering if the mover and seconder could add an addition in there stating Fleming Street, because it's the Fleming Street disabled parking area. That is a mess.
You're both happy with that, is it?
Very much.
Have you got that shown? You want the wording added?
Just for procedure, Mr. Mayor,
we've just included Fleming and Dart Streets in the resolution, just so it's absolutely
Yep.
clear.
It's a corner. Yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, yes, I would support that, but perhaps it might need, a report will include all the costings and what will need to be done.
Anyone else?
Is this an amendment?
There's an amendment.
Sorry, Megan.
All right, reply on the amendment. We vote on the amendment.
I don't have anything further to say.
Okay, we're voting on the amendment. All in favour of the amendment? All, except for Councillor McCarthy and Councillor.
Are you voting for? No, I'm right.
Put his hand up.
Oh, you are voting for it?
No, I'm not.
So did I get it right? All councillors voting for it except Councillor McCarthy and Councillor Tucker, is that right? Okay, so the amendment now becomes the motion. All in favour of the motion? Carried unanimously. Move to 8.3, local preference purchasing policy. Motion is that Oberon Council develop and implement a local preference purchasing policy. Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought that was my phone. In doing some research.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Sorry. Councillor McCarthy.
Thanks, thank you. In doing some research on this, it's quite extraordinary. Oberon's indeed very fortunate that we have, as a community, the community values the benefit of shopping local. It's quite amazing, is it? We've got 2 banks, 2 solicitors, 3 accountants, 2 antique shops, medical centres, agricultural suppliers, 2 supermarkets, also, et cetera, for a small town. Talking to many small businesses, we all recognise that sometimes we pay a little extra sometimes, and then sometimes we get it cheaper from some suppliers. In the past 4 years, there have been many councils who have successfully adopted a local preference purchasing policy. Grenfell, Lachlan, Liverpool, Plains, to name a few. The objectives of price preference concessions are similar to those adopted by some other councils. Some may say giving price concessions of 5 or 10% would lead to gouging. No, that's not what this is. We're not presenting a policy so that businesses in Oberon will gouge. What it does is to say, as an example, if someone's going, if the council were going to buy something off Bunnings, who is a large supplier, hang on a minute, let's try someone in Oberon and we'll give them a 5% buffer, right? They don't know what the price from Bunnings is, or they may in some cases, but what we're saying, it's not to encourage gouging. Small price concessions recognise that business is changing. The Bunnings office works of this world dominate. In fact, a small 5-10% by will continue to have a strong business community and will encourage competition. And don't forget, there's a well-recognised percentage of 1.4 to 2 times multiple in every dollar that's spent locally. Now, I know there's a consultative draft that's there at the moment, but that in itself doesn't recommend, but it talks about local preference policy. So when this is finalised, it will only give guidance on how to do it. So we shouldn't wait for this procurement guideline from local government, July 2025, to formulate or start to formulate a policy, because this will just provide guidance, and we should follow the steps of other councils who've recognised there's a need for this now. And that's about a snapshot. Thank you.
Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I support this, but I thought we had it in the procurement thing. The only concern I have is we went down this path years ago and our staff were getting something from Thompson's irrigation in Mudgee. And the complaint come from the local person that they weren't getting access to it. And when it turned out, the one that they're getting from Mudgee was a better quality, longer life and all the rest. So we have to be careful. I do support this, the purchasing locally.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I won't be supporting the motion. We currently have policy 1206. If some councils aren't aware of it, it's in under policies in Oberon Council website. And that's the procurement and disposal policy. Now, we already have that in place, and that policy already allows local benefit to be considered as part of value for money. And it already provides the framework for quotes, tenders and purchasing thresholds. This motion I find is unnecessary duplication and risks muddying the existing procurement framework that's already operating. We also participate in joint and bulk procurement arrangements where appropriate, especially with joint organisation. So council's purchasing framework already has the balance, the local benefit with value, scale, compliance and efficient use of ratepayer funds. And I might just ask through the Mayor to Councillor O'Connor, can he explain what specific gap exists in our current procurement and disposal policy, given it already recognises local benefit and value for money, and why a separate policy is needed instead of simply using the framework council already has? And before he answers that, rather than creating another policy, if there's a concern about how local benefit is being applied, the most appropriate path, I would think, would be to review and refine the existing procurement policy, not duplicate it.
Now, Councillor Connor, I think in your right to reply, you can reply to those. Any other comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, Councillor Trimmer.
It's probably along the same lines as Councillor Hayden. I absolutely support buy local, and my experience on councils, we do this very lots of local plumbers, local electricians, local builders, even local catering. But I really think with this new guidelines that have come in, this would be the opportunity to maybe embed this in our procurement policy to cover it, not to change it, but we do it all together. Because the local government has had this on public exhibition last year, closed in October. And now, and through the chair, could I ask the Services Director when he thinks that policy may become?
Do you know when they do?
Implemented or?
Through the chair, I can't give a confirmed date, but we are expecting that to be hitting our desk reasonably soon, like April, early May. We're definitely following the progress of that. The procurement policy is one we've been working with local government procurement in readiness to update and address some of these local preference policies. Some of the immediate things we've done, implemented vendor panel and some other things that have broadened our reach, which is, I guess, aimed at enhancing our value for money. So at this point, I'm eagerly awaiting that and looking to come back to council with a refreshed procurement policy.
So I'm not against it, but I think that we should wait, get all the information at hand and do an update of our policy all at once. It's due for updating, as we know. It's very timely. And as this is coming through, I think that we should just wait on that.
Councillor Tucker. Oh, wait on, Councillor Tucker's thing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm against the motion. I've seen suggestions like this raised at a number of different councils where I've worked at it, and at first glance, it sounds easy. When you get into it, it can become very, very complex and doubtful whether you're achieving any benefit anyway. So what is local? Does that just mean within the LGA, or is Bathurst local, or is Lithgow local?
Sorry, you can answer that in your reply. Yes.
Is it just about where a particular supplier is based, or does it go into details such as original sources of raw materials or sources of components or finished products or where they're assembled? And it's easy for a supplier to say that they will utilise some local content. That might just be going down buying a box of nails and the rest of it is coming from elsewhere. But they would still meet that bit about with some local content. I recall an instance at this council where we got a price from a contractor. It wasn't a tender, but it was a contract to do some works. But when we looked at it, it was apparent that that local contractor was going to do virtually none of it. It was all going to be subcontracted out to someone at a great distance. But I think they'd made an arrangement with the local person just to make it appear that it was local and hope to get a sort of preference. How do you protect yourself against that sort of situation? It will tie up staff resources. If every price that comes in, they've got to investigate how much of it is local, or is there any local, or how local is it? And also, if that concession, the 10 or 5 or 3% concession, if that does lead to council accepting a higher quote from a local supplier, then it's costing us money, and we already know how tight our finances are. So I would suggest a better way, if we want to keep money in the community, and this is something I've been arguing about for a long time, is to do more of our work in-house, and rather than putting so much out to contract. I think that's a more useful direction to follow to achieve a similar aim. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taggart. Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Councillor Trimbart's arguments. I think we've got to be more concerned. I mean, it's great to buy local, and we try to do that in our own lives. But for the council, we've got to bear in mind we've got to have value for money, and I think that isn't always the case. And as Councillor Tucker would say, quite often difficult to determine what's local and what's not. For big things, local could be Central West, not necessarily Oberon. So I think when we relook at the policy, we can think about some of those things, but I think it's not appropriate just at the moment.
My views, I'll be speaking, voting against it on the basis that whilst I understand the philosophy behind it, I think it's already to some degree embedded in our procurement policy, and we have the guidance from the local government. I've been involved with some of these type of arrangements where it gets very stringent, and the amount of money that can be, or amount of time that can be consumed in seeing whether something's local, whether it's being sourced outside ultimately the area, or whether it's actually in, and to what benefit, means that you use a lot of staff time in investigating that and looking at it. And we need as also to have competition to ensure that our pricing is competitive. I mean, a lot of us run businesses. A lot of us get quotes from Oberon, a lot of us get quotes from, say, companies in Bathurst, Blaney, wherever. Sometimes you find Oberon's, better, and you sometimes you'll say, all right, it's only a bit more expensive, fine, we're going Oberon. But sometimes if there's big differences, we have to be careful of that as a council too. We cannot, we have to bear in mind that we're also acting for the interests of all our community, in that we have to get value for money. So I think that if we're going to look at this and in the proper light, we also should do it in what is reasonable. It's not going to place an onerous burden on our staff. It's not going to increase our administration costs, and we should do it in light of the guidance from local government and in light with the current procurement policy. Philosophically, I think we've all got a view that this is nice to do. Yes, the concept of putting it into practice, I think, can be a little harder. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to support the motion. I just see it as a basic way of showing that we support Oberon, we support buying in Oberon, and we just need to support local businesses where possible. I'd sort of go back to the example. If we're getting quotes, we've got that leeway, the percentage leeway stated there. So but just to conclude, I just see it as a basic thing to buy stuff from Oberon where possible. That's how I see it.
I'll allow Tony, Councillor Everest first before you allow reply, even though I've allowed more speakers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Look, I like the motion in principle, but I do agree that councils must follow, I guess, the value for money procurement principles. So yeah, and otherwise, I guess it could actually flag ICAP warnings down the track, so that could be a concern as well. So I'll speak against it.
Councillor.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And you're correct. To me, this is cultural. It's, and we're also saying, not saying that our council doesn't support local at the moment, doesn't do exactly that. But it's by having a policy, it's a cultural thing. It's like what I do in my business. I have a culture of what I do. So I'm not saying it's not happening already. In terms of Councillor Hayden's comments regarding the policy, 1206, she's quite right. We have got a procurement and disposal policy, very good policy. Buying local is tucked away on page 9 on the business ethics. There's no actual mention of the importance of that or the philosophy or the cultural. It's just tucked away at the back of the page, right? So it's not dealing with it basically at the moment. In terms of the comments that were made by Councillor Trenbath, this is the procurement guidelines which we've been talking about. They then talk about local preference policies. Other councils have kept them separate. And it's a cultural thing. They say, here's our procurement policy, but there's something else. The council should just turn its mind when buying things that maybe there's a possibility to enable local suppliers who may be 2 or 3% away from something from Bunnings to buy local. So that is the norm at the moment. They have the two things separate. And it is a cultural thing. And I'm not saying for one moment that we're not supporting local. It's really just embedding a policy for the future. Thank you.
All right. I put the motion. All in favour? Councillor O'Connor and Councillor Lee. Against? All other councillors. Thank you. One is it? Page 30. I still next to it. We go to 9.1, Development Application DA 2026.008. The recommendation is that council vary Part C6.4 carports and garages of Oberon DCP 2001 in relation to development application DA 2026.008 at 6 Albert Street, Oberon, Lot 4, Section 50, DP 758805, the demolition of an existing garage and carport and the erection of a new garage and storage shed. 2, a division be called in accordance with Section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. Do I have a motion,
Move
please?
with amendment. Only a
Aye.
short, small amendment.
You're putting a motion that's...
Well, I would have, but you weren't looking. Sorry, Mr Mayor.
No, I have to read this first anyway.
Yes, okay, I do have an alternate.
Motion.
Sharon
It's a-
does
it's
have
an
it.
alternate motion, yes.
Just added an extra point and just added the last sentence at the end of point 1.
So
Yes, and soft and it's like the council. If you include some things, destroys his reaction.
Yes.
Research the policy, just like that's it, they say, no, it's just not what the system. It's the solution. It's all on that. It doesn't want to why that reads. So somebody to my submissions very so generally. So what that's something today's submissions being received from the state organisation of funds. That's what the flood. Would that cover? It'll be, yeah, that's right, I do.
I'm just referring to the whole, I was referring to what was in the papers that,
Right, councillors, wait on, I'm just getting some clarification from the general manager. So general manager, you have a concern with the addition? Anyway,
So, Mr Mayor,
Well, I
just
think
just for procedural,
we should have a motion, a proposer and seconder, and then I will ask direction from the seconder.
yes.
Do you want to speak to it first, or I get the direction from the general manager?
Makes sense
well, hold on.
No, councillor Hayden.
Well, the reason I put this forward was reading through the papers. It did state in there that if no submissions were forthcoming, this would be an easy way to approve, but that wasn't written into the motion. So I thought that we could write that into the motion so that it's there as it is. Like, it makes no sense to approve something and then the division be called because we're approving something without listing the submission portion. That was all.
Okay, councillor Bruce.
I agree. Nothing more.
So my only concern with this, councillor Hayden, I think my issue is the we give the general manager and through him to the director of planning certain delegations in relation to submission. So some of those submissions, they could still approve this if the council has approved it. Even if the submission falls within a certain ambit, if it's outside that ambit, it may have to come back to council. But not every submission on this issue would need to come back to council. That's my concern.
So would you think just removing
That's why I'll
point
ask.
two and leaving the other?
I'll ask the direction from the general manager. I think that'd probably cope with it, but I'll let that.
So move point two.
Through the chair, the removal of point two
Yeah.
will
That's fine.
suffice.
And just leaving that short sentence at the
You're
end.
happy with that, seconder?
Perfect.
Right. Anyone else speaking on this? Yeah, councillor Connor.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Again, only been a year and a half, I've still got a few questions, I'm still learning. A question to the Director of Planning. So this one, it's an old structure on land. So because it doesn't fit within our DCP, but because it's an old structure, it's possible. Is that correct? That how it's.
We can always vary the DCP for minor variations,
And
but it has to come to council to
yeah,
do
that's
so.
correct, but what I'm saying is, in this case, it was a floor plan of 140 square metres, 60 metres being the DCP. Is it because there was something there of 140 that we're recommending it? And then the following question would be, does that set precedents that can come back and bite us down the track?
Through director.
Through the chair, not necessarily setting a precedence, it's just, it's assessed on its own merits, each application is. There is only a minor increase over the existing floor area, however, the DCP only allows up to 60 square metres. Therefore, we have to put a report to council to vary that, to move forward. So as mentioned, this application is only requesting a variation to the DCP. And if council determines that, then we'll move forward once the notification period concludes. And if there's no submissions, I can then proceed to issue the development consent.
Would it have been more difficult had the old structure not been there and someone submitted a development for 140 square metres?
Through the chair, there would have been more merit or more assessment in the report to either support it or not support it.
Thanks for your assistance.
Any other discussion on this matter? Right to reply?
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you to the general manager for fixing my amendment there. This variation to the DCP is not only going to be improving what the landowner is putting forward, it looks very untidy at the minute with having those structures at the front of the building. They're being removed and placed up the back, and I think, if anything, it actually improves the whole street frontage of it. So congratulations to them.
Thank you. I put the motion as per the recommendation, as per the alternate motion on the screen. All in favour? Carried unanimously.
It's this thing, it's maybe nearly enormous amounts. That's the new.
9.2, social media policy 2130. Recommendations, council place the updated social media policy 2130 on public exhibition for 28 days and invite submissions from the public during that period. 2, adopt the policy as presented if no submissions are received in the exhibition period. 3, delegate authority to the general manager to make minor amendments if required. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, Councillor O'Connor, thanks, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, this is another policy that will go on public exhibition. I just wanted to say the policy as it is places expectations on councillors to be identifiable when engaging on social media. However, when council itself posts on social media, those posts are made anonymously as council without identifying whether the content is coming from communications staff, planning staff, technical services staff, governance or another area. And if transparency is the objective around social media posting, should the same principle apply to council's own communications? I did note within there that council staff are to identify themselves, but not in their full name or capacity. I'm just wondering how that would be changed, whether, and also just, I wanted to ask if council social media accounts are accessed through individual role-based permissions or whether multiple people operate under the same login.
I'll ask the second to speak first and I'll ask the general manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is quite timely. I had the policy out last month. And the things that sort of came to me were, as councillors, we're part of one governing body. We're part of one. We're not, we should see ourselves as a governing body. And then I thought, if we are a governing body, as far as social media policy that goes there, if I was going to put something, if I had a social media account, I was going to put something out, I would then, in my mind, send it to the mayor for comments to get a second opinion. That's if I was going to do it, I wouldn't have done. But if I was, I am acting as one, as the council. And that comment or opinion is council. I would then send it to the mayor, ask him for his comment, and he may say, look, I will send it to the Oberon Council to send out. That would probably be the way I would do it. But I think we all have to reflect that we are one of a whole and not individuals. So we have to come back a little bit. And the other thing I'd just like to make a comment is, and I'm not sure if it's happening here, but at all times, we as councillors on social media should never criticise our council. Because again, we are one. So if you criticise council, you're criticising yourself. And you're also criticising each and every one of us. So I think I'd like to think, hopefully that's embedded in this policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to respond to Councillor Hayden?
So through the chair, we operate under a number of different, everyone has capacities in that space. Like we have a general Oberon Council website, Council at Oberon. We have individual ones that relate to individual officers. So there is a mix of both of what you have asked.
Any other discussion on this matter? Right, reply.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention, councillors have mentioned being one. We're all elected officials. We're elected individually. When we come into the chamber, we make decisions as a governing body. Outside of the chamber, we are elected representatives who represent our community. And one of our major roles is to hold the council accountable. And sometimes people forget the difference between.
It's got relevance to the social media policy.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, and I'm just pushing on relevance to what has been spoken in relation to councillors' roles and social media.
Mr. Mayor, a point of order.
Yes.
Holding the council to account. Yes, there's, all of us have a duty to make sure that the council's operating effectively, efficiently, but there's ways and means of doing that. In my mind, it's not through social media.
Point of order, Mr.
Point of
Mayor.
order, I think we're getting off the topic
A
here.
point of order is supposed to specify what in the code of meeting practice has been breached.
So where are the code?
I think it's putting us all into disrepute that we're saying that, you know,
Where's that in the code of meeting?
it doesn't have to be. According
It does.
to that, the other day.
It has to be in the code of meeting practice.
Okay, I've got that in. Oh, that's a little bit.
Book 15 is the area, I know. So I think we're talking about a social media policy. We're talking about implementing it. I think we're getting off the topic at this stage. So I will call a vote on the motion. Sorry?
Councillor Hayden.
Remember that, Hannah, did you speak?
I was doing.
We're in the right of reply, so.
I was doing my right of reply and I was only responding to internal debate and giving an answer on councillors' responsibilities. However, I will end that there, Mr. Mayor, and I will say let the motion be put.
All right, I put the motion, all in favour, carried unanimously, thank you. We can go to 9.3, 2025-26 plant replacement program. The recommendation of council approve the following variations to the 2025-26 financial year plant replacement program adopted through the operational plan. 1, retain plant 30 Toro mower and purchase an additional like-for-like mower to support open space maintenance requirements. 2, discontinue plant 45 Isuzu 5-ton tipper and sell the asset due to underutilisation. Have a motion, please. Councillor Connor, seconder. Councillor Trembath, Councillor Connor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to thank the Director of Technical Services for a very good report, quite easy to read and to understand what's happening there, and very prudent into the decision making, so thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trembath.
I have nothing to add. I've heard this.
Councillor Tucker,
I have an amendment, Mr. Mayor.
have you given that to Sharon?
I haven't, but it's extremely short. And my amendment is that this matter be deferred until after a councillor workshop on plant utilisation and replacement.
Have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Members? Councillor Tucker,
You want me to repeat that at all, Chair?
Thanks.
That this matter be deferred till after the councillor workshop on plant utilisation and replacement. Thank you. Yes, there is to be a councillor workshop in the near future. It says early in the new year, so I'm surprised that hasn't happened already, but I assume it will be in the very near future now to look at exactly this.
you did have Councillor Everett, seconder.
To look at exactly this issue and in fact the whole range of plant, not just these particular items. And that was resolved by council to have that workshop after the audit report was completed and came to council a few months ago. So I just think it would be more sensible if we go through the steps in a more logical order and have the workshop first and then consider any changes to the replacement program, including the ones listed in this report. So I can't see there's any great urgency for these particular items. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the recommendations. I am pleased to see that the audit has contributed to some changes and that we're paying attention to reviewing our plant fleet to meet our changing needs. But I just think we should have that workshop and go through these and other items in more detail. Thank you.
Councillor, thanks, Jimmy. Look, I do have a lot of questions over, economic, life operating costs and, rather, do we simply just replace because of age, or life cycle targets? Because some of these, well maintained can last way beyond their, way beyond what's been noted here. In particular, the tip truck, I mean, that's done 130,000 Ks. I mean, that's barely broken in as a diesel. So that's 10 years. We've got to replace it. Doesn't make sense. So I concur with Councillor Tucker. I'd like to go and do that workshop and really get into the nitty gritty of all this. Does that make sense? Councillor Hayden?
Yes, I support the amendment from Councillor Tucker. I do believe this needs to be deferred. There are also some issues within there that I've also seen that I don't agree with, and we need to actually nut this out in another meeting.
So I'll ask the question, Councillor Tucker. Under the current proposed code of meeting practice, how are we going to conduct workshops on this?
Well, I'd ask the question, if there's any problem with conducting workshops, how are we going to have IP&R workshops? Those are,
Finance ones are particularly exempt, I think.
well, not from what I've seen, and
And they seek the views of the council,
Perhaps, Mr. Mayor, you could invite us all.
Anyway, can you give a comment on, sorry, your manager? How are we conduct a workshop on this?
Through the chair, it makes it very difficult to do that, which is why the report to deal with these matters has been brought to council for the consideration.
Yeah.
Councillor Gray?
I don't see the need to defer. I think this has been recommended to us and obviously some work's gone into looking at what things need to be replaced. It doesn't stop looking at it further later on, but at the moment, they're the two things that are being asked for us to look at, and I would follow the recommendation.
Councillor O'Connor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I find it puzzling that we're debating this. I mean, this recommendation is after a response to an internal plant audit and associated recommendations. We're talking about a very sensible couple of movements of plant. Thank you. I think it should be moved as is. Thank you.
Through the chair, Councillor.
Yeah, I have noted the Isuzu tipper. Is there, could we, staff give us a comment on why we're trading that in?
Because it says underutilisation.
Underutilisation, yeah.
And we did have a plant audit that went to, commissioned by ARIC about over our plant and equipment.
Could I ask a motion before?
Doesn't seem a lot of money. It is a trading.
Okay,
Thank you.
who's,
It's a tough.
Councillor Tucker, you want to write a reply?
no, there's nothing further to add.
So I put the motion,
The amendment?
the amendment. All in favour of the amendment? Councillor Leveris, Hayden, McCarthy and Tucker. All other councillors against. The motion, please. I'll put the motion as per the recommendation. Do I have a seconder?
We already
We've already got that.
Oh, we have that. Sorry, we have that. Yeah, right. This is not an alternate motion. Apologies. Right, we go back to the original motion. We've debated it.
Who's moving and seconding the original?
Councillor O'Connor and Councillor Trevor. We had a discussion. Speak to it. Sorry?
Yes, we're back at the original. All get to speak again.
All right. Councillor Leveris. Confusing then.
I have two questions, Mr. Mayor, through you to the Technical Services Director.
Yes.
are our plant replacements just an economic life and operating costs rather than simply age and life cycle targets? That's number one. And do we know what the cost per hour to run existing plant equipment and whether new ones would actually be, if any, cheaper to operate? Because I think well-maintained machines generally last way past their hours and kilometres.
Through the chair,
So,
we consider all of that, so I have to thank our finance for that as well, because they've done a bunch of implementing some of these recommendations from the plant audit, internal plant audit, which is looking at the IPAWA manual and look at the hours and the age. I might just refer back to the table that's within the report on page 62 of the business paper, where council had already resolved as part of IPNR 2526 to replace all this plant. So the report in front of you is to request changes, which is not to replace 45 due to underutilization, but replace plant 44. So the plant 44 will take on the workload out of 45 as well, and to keep 30. So that is the only two changes based on the IPNR 2526.
Okay, so 30's been replaced. So I'm a little bit confused here. So you're saying 30 has been replaced?
sorry, can I just correct?
Yes, go.
Sorry, 30, we're saying, is going to be retained for use by O'Connell, like a cricket ground, and we're buying a new one, right? That's the change from what was in the IPR. The second change was that the IPR said plant 45, the 5-ton tipper, was to be replaced. But because of the internal audit, it's been determined that because it's not used a lot, I'll put it in simple terms, that it's not worth replacing, so we just should sell it and not replace it.
The absolute tipper is plant 44, isn't it? Isn't that the one we're going to replace?
There's two items.
Tippers, two tippers, yeah.
284
is being replaced.
Plant 45
is proposed.
Yeah, so we believe we only need one, not two.
Yeah, but that's only done, what, 120,000 kilometres?
Yes.
That's not being overly used, is it?
So they're both being underutilized. That's
Yes.
also what the report states. So both 44 and 45 are being underutilized. So we're replacing one, but not two.
So the question is, are we going to have a spare tipper sitting in our depot, underutilised, costing us registration, insurance, or should we sell it off because we're not utilising it enough? Yeah.
Okay, so it mentions the replacement cost, so I assumed it was going to actually be replaced.
The replacement cost has been considered as part
Yeah,
of the.
okay, that's fair enough. So if we really, so I would rather, in my opinion, keep the Torah mower where it is. And if we're going to use any monies, I would be putting that towards a sports complex rather than sort of giving it out to O'Connell. That is my.
Yeah, General Manager.
So through the chair, councillor, our preference is to retain that mower that we have because we see it as a workable, usable and still valuable item. But we still need a new mower to assist in the supplementary stuff that we've increased in our local government area over the last few years, being a new sports ground, a new rec ground. So we're looking to keep the one that we've got, purchase the new plant 30 and just include that as a new piece of plant.
Yeah, got it.
Right, councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm not altogether happy with some of the content, as I stated, within 9.3. So my first question, I have a bit, and I will finish reading it out. Through the mayor, can staff confirm where in the MOU with the O'Connell Cricket Club does it state it requires council to allocate, relocate major plant assets such as the mower to O'Connell?
On the MOU, it doesn't just, no, doesn't.
Okay. Now, because I cannot see that requirement anywhere in the document, I did download it on Sunday night and then had a look at the original MOU, and then I had a look at the updated MOU from July. Now, the second issue I have around that specific item is that if we send a mower to O'Connell, What's our position when Black Springs wants a mower and Burriga wants a mower and other villages or rural areas ask for the same? And we cannot run a fleet where assets are parked in individual locations based on one agreement or one request. And my second question is, what's the policy basis for allocating plant to one location under an MOU? And how would council ensure equitable access across the entire LGA?
So as I understand it, councillor, every application will be considered on merits and value for money. As you know, we are trying to save money, so it may very well be value for money to allocate a mower to certain community groups and to train the people there to use those assets in rural council staff, subject to appropriate insurance and other requirements. So it may very well be that we'll have to look at additional mowers, but we have to do a value for money analysis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, there's a practical issue around this. The MOU refers to tools and fuels being stored on site. That's very different to placing a high value asset in a shed that may not have appropriate security asset or tracking or supervision. And council remains responsible for that asset. So we're taking on security risk, utilisation loss and potential liability without a clear strategic benefit. And from a broader...
We're getting off the
topic. No, I'm going back on track, Mr. Mayor. With a broader perspective, when we're looking at plant utilisation, we should looking at improving the utilisation, rationalising the plant and ensuring efficient deployment of resources, not parking one in one location. And finally, I think council needs to refocus. We have a multi-million-dollar Oberon Sports Complex, which is our primary regional asset. And at the moment, it does not have a dedicated high-spec GPS mower. It does not have the level of maintenance capability you would expect for that investment. And we were previously in a position to secure the GPS mower. So if we're talking about spending more money on plant, I think that we should be securing a GPS mower, and our priority should be investing in that for the Oberon Sports Complex, not sending a current mower to a rural area and buying another mower of that description when we could be getting a GPS type mower for the sports ground.
Councillor, that's your opinion, and I don't think you're an expert on these matters. So I think we'll leave those determinations to council staff. Come back in a recommendation in relation to that. There is a shed at O'Connell for this mower to be stored, as I understand. And as I said, all proposals will be looked at on value for money. Yes, your reply?
Mate, yes, thanks. Yeah, I'd like to follow up your comments, Mr. Mayor, that the previous councillor, lots of opinions, and those opinions also floated around other grounds, other management issues. We should just stick to this this particular
point of order,
topic.
Mr. Mayor.
It is a right of reply, and you've made comments.
Casting an aspersion.
He's not casting dispersion. He's commenting on the comments you made, not casting dispersions on you personally. Thank you. Councillor O'Connell.
Thank you.
Is that all? All right, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? In favour is Graham, Lee, McKibben, O'Connor and Trimbarth. Against is Leverous, Hayden and McCarthy and Tucker. We go to 9.4 Morrison Low Report Review. The recommendation is that council refer the review of the Morrison Low Report to the Oberon Audit Risk and Improvement Committee, ARIC, for considerations of potential internal audit for inclusion in the financial year 26-27 and 27-28 internal audit plans, noting additional areas raised by councils, including IT controls and financial sustainability. On the motion, Councillor Tucker.
I have a different motion, Mr. Mayor. Could you pass that to Steve Aaron? And I'll read it out as well. So my motion is in two parts. Number one, the councillors provide comments on the draft terms of reference for a review and update of the Morrison Low Report. And two, that a further draft terms
Sorry, two.
Two, that a further draft terms of reference be prepared for consideration by council prior to any decision about whether to seek quotations.
You show me.
Maybe we can make that a little larger. Is that correct, Councillor Taylor?
Yes, that's correct.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McCarthy? You can read it, Councillor McCarthy?
I'm having trouble, but I'll,
Magnifying glass.
no, I heard what Ian said. The councillor Pepper said, I'm sorry.
Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just briefly going back through a bit of history on the Morrison Low report. It was completed in May of 2020. And one of the expectations from council in 2021-22, before I was on council, was that there would be an external review completed by June of 2022. That was never done. And during our previous term, I regularly raised this, as I'm sure as councillors will recall, but ultimately it waited until this term in March 2025. Council resolved that we would prepare draft terms of reference for a possible review. There has never been any decision to actually proceed with the review, simply to prepare the draft terms of reference and then consider it. Now, a lot has changed, as you know, Mr. Mayor, since that report was originally done. Circumstances have changed drastically. We've had COVID, we've had hugely reduced grant funding, we've got financial pressures and increased costs, hard to attract staff, different political environment. So I do believe we are long overdue to do a review on such an important strategic document. Roads, as you know, are by far the largest component of our operations, and it's crucial that we get our strategy right. There's a lot of money to be lost or a lot of money to be saved if we get it right. I am not proposing that a review would be a complete rewrite of Morrison Low, starting from scratch, simply to review and update the existing report to take account of the changed circumstances and to update cost figures and provide some clarity. There are some areas that I think need to be clarified that I've never been able to quite get my head around. The draft terms of reference that are provided in today's business paper, well, the actual terms of reference, as far as I can see, are only the final 3 dot points at the bottom of the first page and the top of the second page. Everything prior to that is a bit of a background, but that's the actual draft terms of reference. And there's a lot that I think could be or should be included. So I'm suggesting that we go through those steps, allow me and anyone else to put our comments in about what we feel needs to be included and bring it back, and then we make the decision about whether to proceed, whether to not proceed, whether to refer it to AREC, whether to do anything else. But I just don't think at the moment we really know what this review is going to entail until we complete those terms of reference. It's not going to cost anything. We're not calling quotes at this stage. It is simply for us to make our comments and make sure that if we do go ahead, it's going to achieve what each of us wants. Thank you. That was all.
Councillor McCarthy?
I think councillor Tucker said it all.
Any other comments? Councillor Hayden?
Yes, I support Councillor Tucker's motion that he has up there. I don't believe this should be sent through to the AREC prior to councillors providing comments on the terms of reference. I mean, the report through Morrison Lowe reviewed planning, asset systems, equipment suitability, staffing, procurement, maintenance methods, improvement opportunities, but the report here does not tell councillors which recommendations were implemented, which were rejected and which remain outstanding, or any efficiencies that came out of the work that has been done. So I do think that this is the way to go, that we do a workshop on this or a meeting on this or discussion privately.
We just
Submit our information.
Councillor Tucker, I'm looking at the agenda for the Works Working Party, Tuesday the 2nd of September 2025. Item 6, draft terms of reference for review and update of the Morrison Lowe report to be prepared and considered by the Works Working Party prior to seeking proposals. I think at that meeting, we were all asked to put our comments.
No, we won't.
We were, it was on the agenda.
There was no discussion about it.
No.
We have never had a discussion about it.
We were going to be sent the stuff in the portal. That's what we got, and that's where we got.
At one stage, there was mention that the GM and I were going to get together to discuss it. That has never happened. All of the things that I have been trying to get addressed ever since I've been on council in relation to Morrison Lowe, that these draft terms of reference are simply not going to cover the things that I think are important, and I'm asking for that time to submit my comments. Others can do the same, come back with a revised version, and then we'll make the decision.
So are you suggesting, Councillor Tucker, that we should put a date and time in your motion for you and the General Manager to meet or to come up with some terms of reference?
I think my motion says it, that councillors provide our comments. We can do that either, probably by email in most cases.
So can we put a date on that, please?
Councillors provide comments on the draft terms of reference by the end of April.
The May meeting.
Or by mid-April, that's okay. That gives us a month.
So can we put a date, sort of 30th of April?
By 30th of April, I'm happy with that.
It just, I don't want to keep going round and round in circles.
No, I agree that we're not even in a direction.
And staff want a direction, and I think we need, going to do it, then we've got to commit to do these terms of reference. Because it was on the agenda whether we got to it or not.
Yeah, we didn't get to it.
I've just pulled up the agenda for the Works Working Party because I can remember something.
And it was the same in December. We were given.
Fine. So we've now got it. I'm happy. We've got a date.
Yeah.
That's a second. Happy with that?
Yes.
Further discussion? Because we can't keep going around in circles.
No, but we're not even first time around the first circle yet.
But we've got a draft here. Got comments on it. You're coming back by.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sorry. Further discussion? Noting this is an alternate motion, Councillor Graham.
So is the alternate motion just putting off the recommendation?
Yes.
And what will come back will be different from that one.
Okay.
And have we, General Manager, received a quote, or are we speaking to Morrison Lowe in relation to the quote at this stage?
So through the chair, in preparation for this, staff have set up a meeting with Morrison Lowe to try and get a ballpark about what that would look like. So once again, a deferral and an opportunity to understand what councils want to see should a review take place. We can go back to them and try and get some understanding about what that would cost once we knew what the review looked like.
Yes, and that's exactly what it says, that we do this prior to getting folks or prior to making any decision.
Okay, any other discussion on this matter? I put the motion as on your, and the seconder is Councillor McCarthy. I put the motion as per what is on your screen. I take it you don't want to reply.
I don't think anyone's spoken against the reply to them.
That's right. Okay, all in favour? All except Councillor Trimble. Okay. Thank you. Nine point five, Black Springs Community Association MOU. The recommendation is council enter into a new memorandum of understanding with the Black Springs Community Association Incorporated for the period of 2 years from the date of signing. 2, delegate the general manager to sign all appropriate documentation in relation to the memorandum of understanding with the Black Springs Community Association. 3, authorise council staff to register the interest of the Black Springs Community Association with New South Wales Crown Lands regarding a potential future management role for the Black Springs Community Hall, and to seek advice of the process and governance requirements, noting that this engagement does not commit council to any change in management arrangement. Councillor Graham?
Mr Mayor, I would like
Did you
to
have you putting a motion as per the recommendation?
recommendation.
Seconder? Councillor Hayden, thank you. You're seconding?
Yes,
Good, thank you.
I did put my hand up to move, but that's okay.
You but well, I think the hands went up at the same time, and unfortunately, it's you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, I think part 3 of it is important to get some more information about how it would work. The idea of it, I think, is good just to have one single entity controlling things. Yes.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to the mover. The recommendation in 3 parts, happy to move point 1. I'm happy with point 2. I just have some clarity around point 3 that I need to express. The Black Springs Community Hall Committee is still there. It hasn't been folded. There was a resolution from last month, and I'm sure the Director of Corporate Services will, in our next meeting, put something forward calling for expressions of interest as per the previous recommendation that was put forward at last month's meeting. In the meantime, Black Springs Community Association have mentioned that they are interested in controlling the Black Springs Hall. However, under section 355 of the Act, it is very difficult for one outside organisation to be the main controller of a council asset. So that will have to be looked at, and there may have to be other avenues as to how the Black Springs Community Association would maybe apply for being the Crown Lands manager.
So I'm confused, Councillor. You're talking in favour of 3.
I am talking in favour, Mr Mayor, but I am giving explanation as to how things will have to happen going forward. I
think
not.
that's up to council staff. It says authorise council staff to register
Correct.
interest.
They're registering the interest of the Black
And
Springs
seek advice
community.
on the process and governance. We have a similar situation with the showground, so I'm sure we
Correct.
can use that as an example.
But if I may finish,
Yes.
Mr Mayor, thank you. Under the Act, it isn't normal practice or good governance for a all committee that runs under 355 charter to be absorbed in an external association. It's not something that does happen. And in light of those members that are part of that did resign. However, I am not against this. I am for this investigation process. And I want to make sure that at next month's meeting that the Hall Committee is still sending through its expressions of interest as per that as well. But a couple of things in this MOU that I did note. The MOU is what I'm focusing currently on, is it's well written except for, I did note that there is stating here the financial implications around the MOU, that there is none. However, if this MOU is enacted, I'm sure that there will be some financial implications around costs to provide guidance, induction materials and training to support the staff in volunteer participation, the same as around O'Connell. I also noted that there was discussions that were raised in the previous meeting around this MOU that it would be a possibility of council plant or equipment being stored or used out there as well. I didn't see any of that written into the MOU also. So also around what specific roles would be carried out. So there were just a couple of things I wanted some clarity on within the MOU itself. Thank you.
Councillor O'Connor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Like yourself, I'm confused with Councillor Hayden's point 3. It is very clearly written, point 3. It's also authorising council staff to deal with a particular matter. And I recommend 9.5 as is. Thank you.
I thought, Councillor Hayden, the resolution from the previous meeting was that council staff are directed to go and come back with options for the hall.
No,
Not that we were going out for expression of interest for people to become members of that hall committee.
so
I asked the general manager or the community services director to have a look at it. What's
the recommendation states request a further report outlining actions to promote and re-establish membership and the future operation of the committee.
yeah, and the future operation. Future operation could mean that
It states in full, Mr Mayor, point 8, request a further report outlining actions to promote and establish membership and the future operation of the committee.
yeah, and I would say that point 3 would fall within part of that. So,
That's okay. That's what was stated, Mr Mayor.
all right. Any other discussion on this matter? You need a right reply.
I don't really, because no one's spoken
No,
again.
no one's spoken against it. All right, all in favour? That carried unanimously?
Yes.
Thank you. So we go to 10.1 Central New South Wales Board Joint Organisation, board meeting 26th of February 2026 at Grenfell. The recommendation is the council note the report from the Deputy Mayor and General Manager of the Central New South Wales Joint Organisation Board meeting on 26th of February 2026 held at Grenfell. Councillor Graham, you're going to move that? Thank you. Second it. Councillor Trembar, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm sure you've all read everything about the meeting, but one of the main things that were discussed was the value of the JO, and there'd been government saying, well, do you really want to be one or do you want to be something else? And they were able to support being a JO by saying what the advantages were of staying a JO, and everyone was in agreement that yes, they wanted to stay, but also to make some other comments about some of the costs that were being imposed on the JOs, and perhaps that could be looked at in a different light. The JO meetings get through a lot of information, and they do it very quickly. It's great.
Councillor Trevor?
I don't really have much to add other than, yes, these meetings do cover quite a lot in a very short time, but they seem to achieve what they set out to achieve.
So, Councillor Graham, I note that, sorry, just if I could, Councillor Connor, just, I note that we have been asked by the Minister to give our comments, Oberon Council, as separate from the JO, comments on why, what our views are on retaining membership and retaining the JO structure. And obviously we will go back with some of this, but we also have to come up with our own position as well. Also, if I could, I note that there was a discussion on JO tourism initiatives, and that may be in fact more important in light of current developments and issues raised by Councillor Hayden when she asked me on the Mayoral Minute about tourism and other actions being taken. I think it wasn't you, it was someone asking us. Yeah. Councillor Leverett, sorry.
And I asked about the health.
Yes. Yeah. So
Can I make a comment about
yes.
tourism?
Yes.
I think in the report here it says that returns 1 to 17, but for Oberon it was 1 to 38. Whedon it was 1 to 66. So the smaller councils really get a lot of benefit from it. But there was some concern that some of the bigger councils who have other forms of tourism promotion would want it to stay like it was, but they were very supportive and voted for it. So it was good to see.
Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Katie, for such a good report. Just a couple of questions. So there's the board resolved on page 77, the way down, insisting the New South Wales government refrain from undertaking major structural changes to the JO model and instead address the root causes of previous underperformance. Might just give me, well, there's 2 points, just let me what that underperformance was. And then just towards the back of it, it gives on a table savings on aggregated contracts. And for our council, it's net only $30,000. And I'm just wondering, meetings, participation, all the work involved for a net 30,000. I mean, would we be better off focusing on something in terms of not that, which may give a better bang for buck? But anyway, there's those 2 points: the 30, which to me seems small, and the underperformance. Thank you.
The underperformance really related to other JOs. The Central West JO is very efficient, and it has never been lumped in with some of the ones that don't operate so well. The 30,000 to do with particular contracts, I think, not across the board.
That was savings on aggregated contracts and other programming.
Yeah,
Some councils have.
there are lots of other advantages as well.
Well,
Even
even
if
if
it's not
monetary.
That's the monetary, but the benefits we get in lobbying, being access to ministers, access to transport people, access to health people, are absolute. They're not able to be, I suppose, a value put on them, whether it's federal or state. And as a group, we get a lot more lobbying power than if we go in alone. And a lot of things that affect Oberon affect obviously councils and the JO, so we can go in with a much bigger bang. Whether it's the Great Western Highway closure, which JO is working very actively on, or whether it's health, or whether it's tourism, as I said, we have a much better voice because we're such a small council with all the combined councils.
Thank you.
I'll just make another comment that it's the advocacy that they do on our behalf that is very valuable.
Yes, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, thank you to our Deputy Mayor for this report. Just wanted to note on page 77, unless you've already picked it up, under the advocacy priorities, there's priority 5 regional transport planning and infrastructure, and priority 5 down in the bottom that says telecommunications. I know one of those was 4 because we voted on that, so I think telecommunications was 4, wasn't it? Priority 4, and then regional transport was 5, if you could check that, because it's just doubling up with your 5 points.
The numbering's got a little.
Thank you.
Numbering's going on, yes.
Yeah. That's all. And I do look forward to hearing about the health policy lab. We worked very hard on that a couple of years ago, so where that's up to, it'd be great to find out.
Okay. No further discussion. I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Ten point two. Black Springs Community Association meeting 9th of March 2026. Recommendation that council receive and note the delegates report from Black Springs Community Association meeting on the 9th of March 2026 meeting. Councillor McCarthy, you putting this, moving this?
You can,
You're the author.
You're the author.
You're the author.
yeah, I know.
All right, second, councillor Hayden, thank you. Councillor McCarthy? You want to talk to it? All right. Councillor
I
Hayden?
just want to thank councillor McCarthy for giving us a delegates report, and it's got more than 2 sentences. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. We go to 11, committee reports. 11.1 is the Oberon Sport Facilities Committee meeting of the 18th February 2026. The recommendation that council receive and note the minutes of the Oberon Sports Facilities Committee held on the 18th, of February 2026. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, Councillor Leveris. Thank you, Councillor Graham.
The Sports Facility Committee meeting was not particularly controversial. All the different sports areas had their say. There were some things that need a bit of follow-up. And I think that probably the disappointing part was that there wasn't any grants available for the pump track, but that'll keep working on.
Councillor Leveris.
All I can say, it's the well-run committee. It's short, sweet, and to the point. And well done, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm just reading through the minutes here on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet point. I know it says there have been no suitable grants available for the pump track, but has any land actually been identified at this point? So we'd have to identify some land first. I also wanted to mention to the committee that young John Elmer has contacted me, and I have put him on to Councillor Leveris because he is the young fella that come up with the idea for the pump track, and he would like to attend the committee. So he's going to have a conversation with Councillor Leveris, and if the committee can have a think about letting him attend meetings. And the pool hours of operation, what's happening around that currently through you, the Mayor?
What is it? Yes.
Through the chair, the pool hours of operation are continuing through to the 17th of April. Particularly for the morning lap swimmers. Yeah.
Thank you.
I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 11.2, which is the Community Services Committee, 9th February 2026. Recommendation is the Council 1. Receive and note the minutes of the Community Services Committee held on 9th of February 2026. 2. Endorse the issue of certificates of appreciation to contributors to the 2025 Community Christmas event as supported by the Community Services Committee. Could I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham.
Actually got an amendment to it.
Yes.
I'd like to add a third point. Sharon will put it up.
And that is 3, accept the nominations of Sue Ellen Boss Walker and Pip Saltamiras to join the Community Services Committee. Is that it?
They've put a nomination in, and it will be some time before it goes through the committee and comes back to council, and have been coming as guests.
So are we able to accept it here before it comes to the committee?
Through the chair as a committee of council.
Sorry, yeah. Well, seconder, please. Councillor Jones.
I was going to break my shoulder.
So do you agree to the amendment? You
Most
obviously,
definitely.
you moved
Yes.
that with the.
I
with the
I
change.
moved and seconded in the meeting as well.
Wish to speak to it?
Everything's there. What was discussed, we had a presentation from the Life Church about its youth program, and some of those nominations are because of what they're doing with the community kitchen, which was a program that they talked to us about, that seems like it's going ahead fairly quickly, providing low-cost meals and using training volunteers in the kitchen and the commercial kitchen that they have, which was a good idea.
Any other discussion on this matter? Councillor Hayden?
Yes, I'm happy with that. And thank you, Katie, for putting that up, because that was, from one of the previous meetings. I think there was request of those to attend. So I'm glad that's come before council, and I'm very happy to, support that. Also the endorsing of the issuing of certificates for appreciation to the contributors for the 2025 Community Christmas event. And I did want to note one of the important issues that was highlighted at that meeting was around the age driver testing concerns, and whether Oberon Council and Oberon's Service New South Wales can facilitate in some of that, because it's been found that many of those individuals are having to go to Bathurst, and then if they're told they can't get their licence, they're stuck and they're stranded.
I understand the Director of Corporate Service has not that
Yeah.
issue.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, through the chair, that was definitely an issue raised at the committee through some correspondence. We've since undertaken some clarifications with Service New South Wales, and that service is in fact operated here locally. So there's some takeaways we have from that is we'll respond with that information back to the committee and look at different ways we can promote that. There are some other considerations around booking times and things like that. We have a good outcome there that we'll share back with the committee.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Any other discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion as per what's on the screen. With the addition of a point 3, accept the nominations of Sue Ellen Boss Walker and Pip Saltamiras to join the community services. So all in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 11.3 Heritage Committee meeting, 23rd of February 2026. The recommendation is council receive and note the minutes of the Heritage Committee meeting held on 23rd of February 2026. 2, send thank you letters to David and Susan Willis, who have resigned from the Heritage Committee. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Trembath, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Trembath?
Yes, if the report speaks for itself, but I've noticed that we have lost 2 very valuable community members in David and Susan Willis, and I'm having some thoughts about who we could replace them with, but I haven't actually come up with some at the moment. But does leave a little bit of a hole there for us, because their contributions were very gladly accepted. The other thing is that our wonderful Malachi Hall was given an award by the National Trust, which I think is outstanding for Oberon to have that happen, and it should be commended on the work of that. And we managed to give ourselves a project at the end of the meeting. So we're looking at some huts on Forest Street, and also going to look at possibly documenting all of those around the LTA. So it's nice to have something that we can present back and capture for the heritage of Oberon. And that's all.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, it was quite a productive meeting, considering the previous one we didn't have a quorum. Yes, Malachi Hall, the Malachi Gilmore Hall had been awarded their National Trust. I think that was back in July, August last year. It's just come through late in this report. The stone hut, George Freeman's out at Mount Warong has progressed a little bit more with our, advisor Christo, and he's presented through to members some other material that may be of interest to the council and members of the community around Mount Warong. And yes, the project, it's always fun working on a project, especially when you're doing a lot of research. But I've come up with 6 huts so far, Councillor Trembeth, so you'll be interested when those ones come through, and I've got a tour coming up in the next couple of weeks out in the Schumacher's area to go and have a look at those ones. We've got the photographs on, so I'm happy to second this report. Thank you.
Any further discussion? I suppose I'd just like to ask Planning and Development Director, is there any update on the tourist hotel?
Through the
That
chair,
you can inform us of.
through the chair, as mentioned, the minutes, the previous day was withdrawn and there's no new BA.
Oh, it hasn't
Been lodged yet, no.
Okay, all right, any other, Councillor Carr?
It's, just number 2 point with, the work Councillor Hayden and Philippa Gamble-Smith have done, with the listing, the heritage, out there at the Hut of Freeman's. Just wondering whether the owner should be involved in that, which is national parks, and maybe they should list it and save us some money. That was all.
They are involved.
Doesn't say those in here, but anyway, all right.
Any other discussion? If not, I put the motion, motion as for the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 12.12, reports for information. 12.1 is the monthly activity report, General Manager, March 2026. The recommendation of report item 14.1 is received as went on. It's 12.1. The recommendation is report item 12.1 is received as information. So I have a motion, please. Councillor Hayden, noting it's 12.1, and Councillor O'Connor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mine says 12.1.
Mine says.
Oh, the recommendation
Yeah.
says 14, sorry. Yeah.
Councillors.
Yes, I did want to ask some questions around the Oberon Sports Complex. I'm just reading the statement in here. A gala day's been had at the facility. Has there been any progression on the lease?
Through the chair, the working party met on Monday to analyse its position. We'll be looking to go back to the applicant as soon as we get confirmation from our legals.
Okay, so there's nothing else you can share in relation to the sports complex with that? Was there any discussions around the sprinkler system or the broken concrete on the netball courts at all?
Through the chair, I've also met with members of the Oberon Netball Association together with a third party who was helping them. They commented on, to be honest, how well the courts were put together, and they're looking to do some additional stuff around trying to potentially look at a cushioning or something on top of the courts.
Of the concrete, but did you notice the broken corner of the netball courts? It's broken off.
There has been some rectification works identified with the contractor.
Okay. Okay.
There's also the posts are hard to get out, so.
That happened on the gala day, apparently, according to individuals. And I'm just wondering, they've driven over the corner and snapped it off. So that was an issue. So what's happening around the sprinkler system and the exposed polypipe sections and the indents where people can trip on the sprinkler system? How's that going to be rectified, and will there be rubber capping or anything like that fixing that?
Council currently doesn't own the facility, and it's in the hands of the contractor to fix the rectification impacts that we've advised them of.
Thank you. Is there any further update on the STP, and is there a date yet as when that's going to be commencing. I did send an email, but
So through the chair, the STP has already commenced, the highlights that
I'm
they've
talking
overlined.
to the general manager.
What I'm looking to do, council, is to give a number of just, weekly updates,
Yep.
maybe a monthly timeline as to where and what things are up to. And I'll be looking to get that out ASAP.
So will there be a steering committee meeting at any point?
Through the
While
chair,
this is
council's resolved to implement the project. We're
Yes.
moving into the construction phase of the implementation.
Correct, but when the steering committee was going, at least updates did come through, and I'm wondering if that's going to continue.
Through the chair, the updates will be coming through the whole of council.
It'll be coming through it's now in the construction phase, which
Yep.
means the steering committee steps aside and it's being project managed.
Okay. That's it, thank you.
Councillor Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, General Manager, for a very comprehensive report. It's funny how times change. I was really enjoyed reading the workforce planning section and how important that is in the culture that promotes. And secondly, as times change, we never used to think about work, health and safety, but the section on work, health and safety is fantastic. And we just have an example at the moment where all wind farms in Victoria have been shut down by WorkSafe and the unions. So it's so important to get work, health and safety right. Thank you.
Any other discussion, Councillor Taco?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of comments which will lead up to a couple of questions. I'm on page 111 at the bottom, the section on the future councillor engagement. And I know that's come up earlier in tonight's meeting as well. So just from my reading of the Code of Meeting Practice, I personally can't see where there's a problem with having workshops and steering committees and things like that. But clearly my interpretation differs from others. If that's what was said at the workshop we had a few weeks ago, well, I must have missed that bit because I can't recall that having been said. But anyway, I'm not wanting to have a debate tonight on whether those things are permissible. My questions are, have we sought advice from OLG? It mentions the LGNSW governance conference. Has that conference already happened, or when is it happening? And if it has happened, what came out of it? And when can we expect the further report?
Questions, and I'm going to be very quick. OLG is the one leading the rationale behind why we can't do that. Is it frustrating to council staff? Absolutely, but we're looking at those options. The governance conference was held last week, and we've got some questions in at that point in time around what and how we can do that, and that will feed a report that will come back hopefully in April.
All right, so we're seeking clarity on what
Others are doing.
but also what is the real interpretation of what the Code of Meeting Practice is saying?
That's
because there are some differing views.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is get a unified position and then say to the government, this is not working. You know, there are a number of issues that have come up involving the Code of Meeting Practice, which we're going back to the government. Through the officer level.
Yeah, and that was essentially the question. If this has come basically from OLG, have they provided any further written advice that you could distribute to explain what we can do and what we can't do?
So through the chair, through all the correspondence that we've provided to council over the terms of the new code that's been implemented, this has all been a challenge. And how that's been addressed is something we're trying to work through.
Yes, and I'm sorry to interrupt, and I have seen and read those previous things that have come around, and I can't recall seeing anything that said to me that you've got to stop having workshops or?
Well, I think you-
Steering committees, so I understand about the
Ministers.
public forums and stuff like that, but, our internal stuff just with councillors, yeah, I just have a different interpretation.
Well, the minister's been very strong in his views. In that he doesn't want the perception or actually occurring that there are any decisions made, any informal briefing sessions or workshops. It's all got to occur in a council meeting. But a number of councils, or most councils, are saying this is impractical. We're not talking about making decisions, but councils have to be informed and have to have the ability to engage with staff in discussions, properly understand these things, and that a council meeting does not necessarily provide the avenue from which that can be occurred.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're essentially saying the same thing.
Exactly. So it's in frame. It's not only us. We're not Robinson Crusoe on this. There's a whole bulk of councils and local government association New South Wales on this.
We're arguing about who agrees with the other more.
But no, what we're saying is
No,
we're actioning it as best we can in accord with others. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was all.
Yes, councillor.
Right, reply.
Oh, councillor, you.
Oh, wait,
Oh,
councillor McCarthy, sorry.
With this meeting and the information, I highlighted to the general manager what our neighbouring council's doing. Why can't we implement that?
In relation to what the council engagement.
Remember I highlighted that the director pulls the mayor in. And the mayor invites the other councillors to attend the meeting. And that's the way they're getting around it. And the councillors all get the information. It's pretty simple.
Through the chair, I'm not necessarily sure whether that's the appropriate way to do it. So once again, we'll bring a report back that gives council the understanding of how they want to progress on this. I cannot sit here and say that this is also not frustrating to staff because we seem to be supporting this as well. So we want to be able to do it. It's just a way how we do it.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just a
Good point. I just think,
He was the second.
Your second, right?
He can't speak.
And do we need to write a reply? This is a report for information.
just a quick comment. Next meeting, yeah. I think we all have a level of frustration where we have to defer to our general manager and let things take its course.
Councillor Hayden, I'll let you.
Thank you. Just to write a reply, I did want to just add to councillor McCarthy's mentioning of the mayor inviting and staff inviting councillors for opinions. In the last code meeting practice webinar, that was actually listed by Kath Roach. She did mention that the mayor can invite councillors to give their opinion. So that can occur. I did also quickly, I forgot to mention, within the WHS portion of the general manager's report, I'm finding it concerning that our staff would even have to feel uneasy going to their car. I do not, and I cannot for the life of me, understand why anyone in this community would not feel safe, because this community is one of the safest in New South Wales. And I cannot for the life of me understand where this uneasiness is coming from.
Yep. All right, put the motion, all in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 12.2 monthly activity report, planning and development, March 2026. The recommendations report item 12.2 is received as information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Graham, Councillor McCarthy, thank you.
For the recommendation.
Councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm happy with the report. I've still got a problem with 34 Windermere Avenue. I went back through my notes and the item at the time to make this into take it away from playground was back when Jacqueline Burns put a report to the council. And it was 34 Windermere Avenue and the League Club. And the council vetoed both of them. So I can't understand why it's just not a block of land myself. In other words, her recommendation was it went to parklands. That was the same with the approach to the League Club. And we vetoed both of those. So I can't, I need to understand why we're in this position.
Gonna comment on the director or not?
Through the chair, the reclassification was not undertaken, so that's why we're continuing to look at that.
So it wasn't undertaken when we made that decision.
It's not in our LEP, has been a reclassification.
Okay, it's not my fault, but not.
General Manager, no, through the chair, that the reclassification of that 134 was mistakenly identified when it was undertaken, and it had to be rectified through this process. Once it's been reclassified, it can be sold.
Yep.
Councillor Hayden?
Yeah, I was going to mention 34 Glendore Avenue because I do recall the conversation in 2023 around that because we moved a motion. And then I recall the then Technical Services Director, Chris Schumacher, and the Planning Director had said it was classified as this. And then we didn't have to do this, but then it had to get classified as something else. So it has taken a fair while. It is a little bit frustrating, but yeah, I get it.
Okay, any further comments on that? Yes, councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick question for the director, if I may. Page 116, near the bottom, about the local strategic planning statement. I'm just curious to know when we will commence the review of the LEP and the DCP. And can those things only happen after all of these supporting strategies for the LSPS have been completed? Do we have to finish that before we get on to the others? Is that the story?
Through the chair, that's correct, yes.
Thank you, that was all.
Jim? You got your hand up, councillor Everest, or are you just waving a pen? Okay. Put the motion, as per the recommendation, all in favour, carried unanimously. Thank you. Go to 12.3. Monthly Activity Report Technical Services, March 2026. The recommendations report 12.3 received information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, Councillor O'Connor, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, thank you for the report. As per the recommendations, I do recall seeing information that Campbell River Road was getting repaired this week. Is that still on target? Through the mayor for the technical?
I can answer because I've just been on it. Yes, it is being repaired. I was there and held up at the stop and goes on the way in, and the other night I was held up as well. So
That's great. Thank you.
there's rollers out there, graders out there,
Thank you.
trucks out there, everything's out there at the moment, and it's running one lane as it's being repaired, one lane at a time. Have you got any update on that?
You just gave it to
Thank
him. I haven't finished. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, in addition to the pavement maintenance activities, I note that Martin Falls Road has had a speed limit change, and I'm just wondering how, who, where, and when was that consultation undertaken? Was that just done through Transport or Traffic New South Wales? Because I'm just wondering why this has come about, reducing the speed limit on that road.
Through the chair, I believe that's a transport matter. It would have been referred to transport at some time. From memory, it was something that was underway before I started from memory, and I believe it was raised at some point in the local traffic committees when there was still inaction. So I cannot recall the reason. However, I can research that for you if that helps anything. Maybe can't.
Well, maybe Councillor Tucker might have a response. I'll ask you, Councillor Tucker.
Firstly, just to explain that speed limits are specifically excluded from many of the delegation. They don't come under the traffic committee or what's now called the traffic forum. It is entirely a matter for Transport for New South Wales to set speed limits. It may have been a referral from council or from somewhere else, or it may have just been something that they off their own bat decided to do, but there's no requirement for any consultation.
Okay, thank you for that. Also, Yeah, because I have noticed previously there has been individuals that might be one complaint regarding someone speeding, and then everyone else is affected in the whole LGA because of one minute complaint. But anyway, that's why I wanted to bring that up. And
Through the chair, just to clarify that I believe that transport would have undertaken a risk assessment on that. There would have been some, as you say, some complaint or concern, and there would have been on site and risk assessment and made a determination based on that.
And I did want to ask through the mayor to the technical services director. I had a couple of people query about one section of the road out at gosh, I'm having mind blank, out on the Rockley Road anyway, adjoining Sewell's Creek. Now, Bathurst had completed their road work on their portion of the road, and some of the drivers are saying, oh, Bathurst was really bad, Oberon was okay. Now, Bathurst Road is really good and Oberon is terrible, and whether or not council can sometimes work together so that both sections of the road are repaired basically at the same time. So when we do work on Sewell's Creek and Bathurst does its on the adjoining road, whether we can somehow try and arrange some time sequence that both are kind of being done at the same time. I know it's probably very hard, but it's just an idea, that's all.
I think this issue I do recall having been raised previously, and it might have been with the previous technical services director. It's often a resourcing issue. When one council has resources available to do it, it's not always fits in with the other. I think there was some attempts to do some synergies, but I know from recollection, the comment was not always that the resources are available at the same time. It'd be nice if we could do it.
And I just wanted to add on the last bit, and that's the end of it, is around cemeteries. And I do know I've had some complaints from Burriga and a couple of complaints in Oberon, and they were wondering if staff could please be mindful when working on the cemeteries to not break headstones and try not damaging flowers and offerings left by the family members. So there had been some relatives that had placed some fresh flowers on some grave sites, and they've been mowed over. And there have been, there's been a angel monument on a headstone that's been broken at Oberon, and a headstone that was broken at Burriga. And they did ask if I could bring that up and just.
Was that by council
Is that
staff?
by council staff?
Apparently, I can't ascertain whether they did, but they were in there mowing when it had occurred. So I can't say yes or no. We don't have cameras, but it's just asking if they could be mindful around that. That's all.
Councillor Cobb?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Once again, thank the Director of Technical Services for a good report. Thank you.
Councillor Finbar?
Just going back to Mutton Falls Road, to the tech director, you mentioned that we could get some research on that and find out how that happened. Is that possible? From transport from
So the chair, I can get back to transport and request that information immediately for it.
Yeah, I've been asked by community, and clearly Councillor Hayden had the same issue. So I think it would be good, because I remember there was one complaint about Beaconsfield Road that came up in the traffic. And basically it was, Councillor Tucker said to me, this is something that's outside their scope and they can just do it on one complaint. So I just want to get a bit more background. And then the other one is the 8 Mile Swamp Creek culvert crossing. I mean, that really is dangerous, and it seems, that's what the New South Wales are really good at, reducing speed limits. But we need an outcome on this problem. It's a dangerous bridge. The trucks come down there, they are fully loaded. It narrows down and there will be an accident. And I know what you've done, put in place that, but I think we really need to have an outcome from Transport from New South Wales on this road, or we engage a local bridge expert to take a look at it and give us some feedback. That's just my opinion.
Any comments?
Just for the chair, no further comments. As the report states, we're working with transport on that.
Further discussion? If not, I put motion as per the recommend, McCarthy.
I see the jetpack to the director. I see the jetpack has been returned. Is it operational?
Through the chair, the jet is operational, yes.
It's operational. Okay, thank you.
I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. And at 12.4 monthly activity report, corporate services, March 2026, the recommendations report item 12.4 is receives information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden, Councillor Graham, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, to the corporate services team. I'm just going to ask about the planning portal and the DA tracker again. I thought we were told that this would be completed by the end of February, and now halfway through March and a few more weeks. It's been more than 2 years already since this was going to be done. Community are asking a lot of questions and getting annoyed by how long it's taking, and I do agree, it is ridiculous the amount of time it's taken to get the DA tracker up. So when will that be finalised? Can I ask through the mayor?
Through the chair, noting the comments we made last council meeting of that opinion as well. We are having weekly meetings with our project team at Ready Tech. I can say that the test environments have been improved and are ready, and that the delay now is on the planning department, New South Wales Planning Department side. We endeavour to get another update late this afternoon that hasn't come through, but I can't give you a date, but it's high priority for us to keep pushing that. Once those keys are activated, there will be a testing period as well. But we are preparing the customer portal for that customer interface, which will lift some of the information that's already shared into a more interactive for our community. I can't give you a date, but it's high priority. Every day with our IT manager, I'm very much the same as you. So
yeah. Also, I note I sent an email to you today asking about the Regional Tech Hub Communication Accessibility Workshop, and you informed me that the one at Black Springs is cancelled tomorrow. So will we be putting out a notification in relation to that, because we did advertise that it was going ahead? I will endeavour to put out a notice when I go home on my social media page that the one at Black Springs has been cancelled, because I do know 3 people that were going to attend from Burriga, but I'll put that out. Has the other ones been cancelled?
through the chair, all 3 were cancelled. We only received one RSVP for one of the events. So attendance was poor. So they're not run. They're funded through a grant. So we're looking at how we can potentially reschedule that, or at least disseminate that information. But yeah, we are jointly disappointed on that one too. So
because as you know, some of the older people won't RSVP, they'll just see a notice or hear about it and then just turn up. So I think the RSVP invite type scenario might not suit for all of that age category, like some of the older individuals.
Yeah, through the chair, I understand that. And anyone who's, the one person RSVP has been notified. The organisers were booking flights and things like that, so we needed some commitment. So it's definitely something we will look at to improve going forward.
Thank you. That's all.
Councillor Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to commend the library manager on the program that she's been running over the last 6 weeks or so. They've been really well attended, and it's nice to have something a bit different down there at the library.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Unanimously. Thank you. 12.5 investments report, February 2026. The recommendation is that the report item 12.5 is received information. A motion, please. Thank you. Councillor O'Connor. Councillor Graham, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, it's a good report. No further comment.
Councillor Graham.
Continue to go well.
Any other discussion on this matter? If not, I put the motion. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 12.6 grants update, February 2026. Recommendation for report item 12.6 is received information. Of a motion, please. Councillor O'Connor, thank you. Councillor McCarthy, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. So, very good report. I've got some questions regarding the New South Wales Department of Climate Change, Energy, Environment and Water. about the council final out submissions of a successful application. This is a very big initiative. And I'd just like to ask, what's the background to this grant? Has it been in train for a while? And Oberon's water supply scheme is such a critical thing. Are we taking control of this?
Through the chair, I'm direct to the GM and Tech Services Director.
Yes, Madam Chair, referring to the Safe Secure Water Fund 432.
I think,
Yeah.
4.6.
That is mainly for water security. So to undertake a study on how to improve water security based on events in the last drought where there was a threat. So that's what this project is about. And it's 75% funded, which is the 310,000 and we contribute at 40%.
No, it's to me, it's such a critical grant and exercise we're going through. So I commend you on getting that grant.
Yeah. Councillor McCarthy?
Yes, thanks for the report, but I'd just like to highlight 18.26 in 26. It's only for safety upgrades, not the purchase of new playground equipment. Anyway, it's been dealt with and all, not rested. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Tucker was first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of further questions on the same thing that Councillor O'Connor was asking about, the water security grant. First of all, I'm a bit confused about whether that item on page 139, which is in the grants update report, and it says the initiative is valued at 310,665. But then further on in report 0.9 on page 181, it also talks about water security project, total project cost 115,000, 25% council contribution. Are they the same thing? And can you explain the differences in the numbers?
To the chair, they are the same as I mentioned previously in response to Councillor O'Connor. The 310 is the EQ contribution and the 115 is ours. In total, it ends up to be 420 or something. So hence, in the grants update, it's what we get as per money, and in our finance, we say, well, what's costing it?
Sorry, it's the 320, 300 plus the 150.
If our contribution is 25%, then the total value should be 460.
Correct, or 400, whatever the sum of 115 plus 310 is. 420 odd.
Yeah, and I was confused because even thinking that if that was what was going on, the numbers still didn't quite work out, but I'll accept that, thank you. But I'm also curious about the background to it, because again, like Councillor O'Connor, I couldn't recall seeing this mentioned in previous reports, and I went back to the last months and it wasn't listed in the grants report. So it's been sort of in train for some time, is that correct?
Through the chair, it's been in train as a result of the drought, where the concern that was raised by council and every other council was, when's day zero? When does our water run out?
Yeah,
What is our secure yield? And we never got this as a result of the breaking of the drought, funding becoming available through the Safe and Secure Water Fund to challenge these. So it has been around for some time.
Right, it just hasn't been included in the grants report previously.
No, because we've only just commenced it and finalised the deed.
But yeah, I thought it must have all sort of, the grant opportunity must have arrived and we applied and got granted all within a month since the last report.
Absolutely not, councillor.
And at that sort of price, 400 and something thousand, who's actually going to do the work, and does it need tenders and things like that?
Yes, through the chair, it's going to be undertaken by an external consultant, and the project commenced, our proposals were sought before I come on board. So proposals was followed with regard to seeking the appropriate number.
Right, so we already went through that process quite some time ago.
Correct.
Right, okay, thank you. My one other question on the grants report is on the Main Street Safer Journeys. So we put in an application for 450,000. So it talks about going from or down to the common. So are the works limited to just the route that is set out in the report? I'm on page 140. And yes, it goes from Oberon bus interchange down to the common. So any works have to be within that route. Is that correct?
Yeah, through the chair, we're always trying different ways to put things forward under different grant funding. So the work that we have put within that would have to relate to the that has been identified there. So we've tried to broaden that out under an array of things that would allow us to drive some benefits in across the main street and those types of things. But that grant specifically relates to an actual facilitating a journey, and that's how we've had to write that story. Yeah.
Yeah. And following on from that, obviously that goes down Ross Street and crosses Queen Street. So I'm wondering if there might be an opportunity to get our works done at that intersection, because that's a big part of that intersection project is to improve safety and accessibility at that corner.
Yeah, it's through the chair. It's a good point you make, Councillor Tucker. We've absolutely used our existing resolutions on that and commitment to those that project you're mentioning as a justification that it's council are serious about this particular journey facilitating that. So it's been an inclusion point to show that there is council resolutions and support for that as well. Yeah.
Thank you. That was all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, yes, Councillor Hagan.
Yes, thank you for that report. In grants, were there any recent upgrades or updates or changes to any grants that have been approved in this period of time between Friday and now?
Through the chair, just on this afternoon, we were notified that we unfortunately missed out on the autumn youth holiday break program. But there has been some interest in some other ones, which we're quietly excited about, but we'll wait till we see.
Yeah. And around that Safer Cities Her Way, which I kind of don't like the terminology of that, but anyway, will that be able to perhaps incorporate some of that lighting that we've discussed in other meetings in the common, how the common itself at night is extremely dark and not lit up very well in that section pathway? Could this also contribute to assisting with some of that lighting?
Through the chair, absolutely. And again, some of the extracts from minutes of those things that have been discussed have really helped us write that that story into that particular grant application. But yeah, it's very much enabling women and girls and inclusive journeys, and that's how I've had to really put that story.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
He was the second, wasn't he?
If I reply. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
You want to move, weren't you?
Yeah, but
Reply.
through you, just a question I missed out to the Director of Technical Services. So with the assessment of the supply of water in the Oberon LGA, I see that they're also going to be looking at groundwater. Are we going to be, is that assessment work, is that going to be looking at all regions throughout our LGAs? In terms of our groundwater supply?
Through the chair, we're looking at Oberon. Oberon is the only location we're providing portable water to.
Yeah.
So
we're
looking at water security for town will be
groundwater. So we're not going out to the fund regions to assess.
No, that's not part of that.
It's not part of it. Thank you. That's fine. Thank you.
All right, no further discussion. I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. 12.7 status update. Recommendations report. Item 4.7 is received as information. Can I have a motion, please? Councillor Hayden. Councillor O'Connor.
Yes, motion as is. All right,
Councillor O'Connor.
Mr Mayor,
I haven't,
All right.
sorry, I was actually asking if you've given me permission to speak. Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Yes, Councillor.
Yes, the motion as is for information, but I did have, two questions. One is on page 149 of 87, and I note that the recommendation has gone from, 1, 2 and 3, investigate the reported sewer overflow issues at East Dillon Street through its technical services director. And it's kind of gone from the curb and gutter program and additional installations and investigate the East Dillon sewerage to now finding people basically. And I'm wondering if East Dillon, if that specific issue had been rectified to that property. And now with, connections are more than 60-year-old, we're now sending out letters to individuals, and letters for action, for regulatory action. I'm sure some of these people in some of these properties wouldn't have any clue of how their sewage is connected. But anyway, was Dillon Street rectified?
Through the chair,
Yes.
the manhole in Dillon Street is particularly narrow. There was some things to be done and that was assessed now shallow, only about 800 mil deep. So that we cannot rectify that with our main house sewer, which is not sustainable. However, there's other issues contributing to issues in the sewer reticulation that we're having, which is aging infrastructure, which causes infiltration, breaks, roots, require relining. Hence my update on the 11th of the 2nd, so a further report or reports. Also, they have separate issues. One is the stormwater, one is the sewer.
Yeah.
And they both have issues. And I would like to bring reports back on those different issues to provide further information to council on that and see how do we move that forward.
Yeah, okay, thank
So
you.
no, it wasn't rectified.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I just was reading through and I kind of was a bit disappointed in reading that we'd gone through the original recommendation to then, issuing notices to individuals that may not know what's been going on in their system. But my main concern was, how are we rectifying East Dillon Street? And that was my main concern. There was another one in here, bear with me while I get to it, in relation to the general manager.
That's why you're appointed councillors.
Yeah.
The relationship in regulatory action against what we found was purely around illegal connections into our system that required rectification because it's contributing significantly to the issues that we're having. So that is the process that council staff have to go down in order to rectify these. So that's the rationale behind
So the other portion that I wanted to query was on page 165. And that was in relation to 16.1 expressions of interest. The note on the 11th of the 3rd, 2026 states draft contract has been discussed at the working party and a revised contract provided to Oberon Rugby Leagues Club outlining the council resolution. However, I think that may need to be amended because the meeting, there was another meeting yesterday. So can the general manager fix that one up because nothing revised has gone back to them if there was a meeting yesterday?
But there was a meeting yesterday and that's after this report's prepared. So
But you only did half the contract at the previous portion, didn't you?
what?
The
We
contract?
sent the management agreement and the lease went to the Leagues Club. Their lawyers came back with a response.
Mhm.
And in fact, they had a further explanation letter that we only received on Friday.
Mhm.
So, we only just received that before the meeting we held to go through this. So I don't know.
But I'm saying the 11th of the 3rd, wasn't there a working party meeting last week and not everything was discussed and you had to have further meeting on Monday?
Yeah.
Right,
It
so,
was based on further information that was provided by them after this date.
So the status report, is it made up to a certain time? We can't amend the status report once the,
What I'm saying is on the 11th of the 3rd, nothing had been finished with the contract is what I'm stating.
Through the chair, the reason why it was held up was based on information supplied further to supplement the position of the Leagues Club. So yes, it hasn't been provided back to them, but it was going to be, but prior to the information being received.
And
So
what
we
was
did
the additional letter that you mentioned?
The additional information has come from the leagues,
the club's lawyers. That we didn't receive that till, what, Friday?
Yes.
So has that been addressed now?
Well, we had a meeting.
I'm allowed to ask the questions as a councillor.
We had a meeting and which we did, but we hadn't had an opportunity to really see that letter before the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, councillor Tremor. Councillor Connor or councillor Tremor?
Can I ask a question? Those meetings that we have are confidential.
That's right.
There seems to be a lot of information that's escaping regarding meetings we're having, meetings not. This does not make sense at all. We
can
all
ask
sit
the
in the
general
room.
manager.
Point of order.
Don't sit in the room and we sit on working parties and we are asked to maintain the confidentiality. What's escaping is information around what those meetings are and what's happening, and now you're having to explain it. That's not what it's about.
Is that,
And I really need.
so can I get some clarification?
Point of
Are
order.
all councillors entitled to the same information for governance reasons?
No, not if there's a working committee and until that was the resolution. Do you recall the resolution?
Yes,
So it's done in
Delegation.
secret.
There was a delegation to a working party.
it's done in confidential.
But we ask the general manager questions. If it's in a status report, we can ask the questions.
You seem to know a lot of information about their meetings.
Councillor O'Connor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have we dealt with that now?
Yes.
Yes, that's good. I've just got a couple of questions. Look, I might have said it before, but I'll say it again. This report to me is such a fantastic report. Transparency for our community. They can hop on and see where all the work you're doing, and for us as well as councillors. I just have a couple of questions. I won't say that again in future meetings. So proposed taxi rank, all I want to say there is, goodness gracious, this is dragging on for a couple of months trial. And hopefully as councillors, I won't say this again either, we just learn from this and take advice from our staff, our council staff. And number two, the debt recovery. I know we're dealing with that later, but I just want to really say fantastic job with the council staff. Very professional, very cautious. Thank you very much. And then finally, just a question at the end regarding weed spraying contractor. That's fantastic news as well. And are we starting to knock up a few kilometres, and if we are, both the contractors sort of getting kilometres under their belt, or how are we going?
So through the chair, one of them, which is well trained in this type of thing, has a program that's been endorsed. We are just awaiting for our new contractor to just come along. So we're talking and working with that contractor to try and get it, but we haven't utilised the funds that would be outside the remit of what that we could split the two to allow us to get the comparison between.
Thank you.
With the chair, just one small comment. Action required, read the Rugby League Club. It's a high horse thing with me. Just the GST, 350 plus GST. You may have addressed it, but I just not there. So 350 per week.
350 a week, where do we find
I can see that, page 165. All right, action required, the rent includes 6 months free rent, mobilisation period thereafter rent, indicative of 350 per week.
That's the resolution we made as a council.
All I'm saying is, you need to add the GST on it.
Yes,
That's not
we know
there,
that.
so I'm only clarifying that, not after a thing was.
Yep.
Just
But any further discussion?
all the way into.
Yes, Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just 2 questions. First is on page 148. So it's the end of a long series of notes relating to residential land development. So in December, the second last note said a report in the new year will be provided indicating cost options and potential funding sources for council to either undertake a project or look to sell off the land in question. And this month, we have a new note that says land opportunities may present themselves, which could see council provide land stock for future housing development. So I just want to make sure that this latest note is not superseding the previous one, and we will still get a report on options.
Through the chair, it definitely does not supersede this.
Thank you.
What it was is that based on the release that was provided by a developer who was throwing commentary around, I thought it was probably pretty poor of me if I didn't indicate that the only bit of land that council owns is this particular one, and it could be an opportunity if council deems it that way.
And that can be included in the report that will be coming in.
It's one of the options. Absolutely.
Thank you. My second question is on page 167 at the top, and it's just a very brief follow-up from what we were talking about earlier about plant utilisation and replacement. The latest note says the final report is scheduled to be tabled at the March ARIC meeting, and I was just puzzled by that because it went to ARIC in September, and I'm curious as to what that means.
It's really, through the chair, it's the finalisation based on all the given that we've been taken since then.
Yeah, through the chair, the actual audit report has differing milestones in terms of reporting. So there's a major chunk of the recommendations are due by March, coming back to ARIC. So that's where the next ARIC next week will deal with where we progress to those. And the last milestone is
sort of like an update report rather than presenting the final audit report, which is already done.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's a major milestone report to ARIC based on
the wording confusing. Thank you.
All right, 12.7, I put the motion, report 12.7, it's received its information. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Go to 12.8, Oberon Sports Complex Landscape Master Plan. Recommendation of council note the landscape plan for the Oberon Sports Complex. Mover, councillor O'Connor, councillor Clembar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We need to thank our fellow councillor Clembar for putting this forward originally. It's a good plan. The couple of comments I've made are open suggestion is that to me the water works there should we prioritise that above everything else, but that's just up to the staff.
That's the water retention.
Water retention, yeah.
The landscaping around that.
The water. Should we prioritise that and really move on that sooner than later? And yeah, that's the main one, really. But it's a good, man. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to the Parks and Garden Centre for putting this together. It's a great result, and I'm sure we'll get there with some beautiful trees. But at least they've given us guidance on where we should start and get it going.
Councillor Hope.
Yes, they've done a good job with their design. Some of the species I probably wouldn't go with. Eucalypts having snappy branches and oak trees because of the mess, and acorns, things that can get on sports fields. One of the issues I have is around the water retention dam. I don't want to see a whole heap of shrubbery around that. That is a very dangerous area. It is a very deep dam and it does not have a sloping edge going in or out, and if a child falls in that, they're at risk. I did ask the general manager if the fence is going to be around that. He did say at one stage there would be a fence going around that dam because of its danger that it can provide to the kids. You had mentioned previously that dam was going to be fenced.
No, through the chair, let me be very clear. This dam has exactly the same components as the 3 dams in the common.
No, it doesn't.
And I have stated that all along.
Well, down in the common, the dams down there are natural spring-fed holes that have been there since I was a kid. But this dam has been dug and it has very steep sides. It does not have graduating slope. Even the workers over there had stated that dam requires fencing. If a kid falls in there, they cannot get out of it. That's my concern. And also the amount of trees that are surrounding the perimeters. I think we need to be mindful when it comes to having a clubhouse in there and security and any trees that people can hide behind, because we have to be mindful of that.
Right, the notes the voice. My only comment on this is,
Walk into the dam and walk out.
my only comment in relation to this was, something very like councillor Hayden, but on different area. I was concerned about the eucalypts on the southern side. I'm not anti-eucalypts in the right environment, but I am aware of the, that we've had branch issues before. I would maybe suggest looking at either deodars or torolosa as a screening, just because of the number of children and kids that might be around here. Then we, gums in town environments are not known to be particularly good. That was my only comment. Yes, councillor McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm appreciative of the plan, but, and I know, the stance with the, dams down the common, we've improved and they're not, we've improved in what they are. But I'd like to see what it would cost to put a wire net and fence around this, in respect that our staff are going to be down there mowing. And we all know what happened over at Fiveron when that bloke was strapped to the mower and went in to the dam over there. So I'd just like to see a costing on it. I'm not speaking against what the general manager has never promised it. If it's, $5,000 or a few $1,000s to put a fence up, maybe that's worthwhile. But I'm not saying we've got to whip him with a stick, but I think it's a good little bit of assurance to maybe have a look at the net and fence there.
Any other comment? You've got a right and apply, councillor. So, anyone else? Thank you.
And I too, as councillor Hayden, I've asked the general manager on a couple of occasions about fencing, and he's always had the same answer, as you've said today. But I do agree with councillor McCarthy that it may well just be worth the exercise of doing if you want a fencing type, farming type fence around that dam, to see what the cost is.
I'll take that offline.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Not, I put the motion as per the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Go to 12.9,
Have an alternate.
works update report. Recommendations report item 12.9 is received as information. Councillor Hayden, you have an
An
alternate.
alternate, Sharon has that.
So as the alternative, report item 12.9 has received information that council establish a works committee comprising councils and relevant staff to provide recorded oversight and discussion of capital works, roads, plant and town improvement projects in accordance with the code of meeting practice.
Correct. That's
Do you have a seconder?
And I'll give it.
Garthy, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
okay. Yeah, I do. I'm pleased to receive the report. Some work's gone into that, but I have concerns about the discontinuation of the Works Working Party without any replacement governance structure. And Works is one of the most important areas of council oversight and governance alongside finance. So simply providing councillors with an information report is not an adequate substitute for a proper forum where works, priorities, project delivery and plant matters can be discussed and recorded. And if the new code of meeting practice means the former working party structure is no longer appropriate, then the answer is not to remove oversight altogether, but the answer is to establish, or should you say re-establish, the Works Committee in accordance with that code.
Second, councillor Carpenter.
Got no more, Dan.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm certainly sympathetic to that motion. But at the moment, I won't support it because I would prefer to wait and see what comes out of the report that we will be getting in the near future about options for councillor engagement. I hope there might be other ways to do it rather than a formal works committee, that I have some concerns about Works Committee as opposed to what we have been having with Works Working Party. So I won't support it for the moment, but if that turns out to be the only way we can have more detailed discussions about Works in a way that complies with Code of Meeting Practice, then I will certainly support that at a later date.
So comment.
Firstly, I'd just like to deal with the report itself.
Motion's on the floor.
Absolutely, to go into.
But the first part is the report item 12.9 has received information, so
So
we'll talk about the report.
If I may, I'd like to firstly say it's such an excellent report. It shows great financial and resource management. I mean, this one jumps out off the page to you and says, what a great report. And the best thing about this report, it's coming back to all of us. We're all in the same room looking at this wonderful report. And to me, you read it and you go, wow, how hard is our council trying to manage this financial position, and what a great job they're doing. So I commend the report and put it to council. Thank you.
Any other, councillor Tucker? Oh, you're doing a right of reply? No.
I moved
I
it.
moved it, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have sent,
You've had a go, I'll happily let you have a second one.
when did I have a go?
A minute ago.
Did it?
Yes.
Sympathetic.
Just before councillor O'Connor, you actually spoke.
Sorry, I apologise. I'd forgotten that bit.
It was just a glitch.
Yeah. I have sent a series of questions on the content of the table today. I'm not going to go through it in detail at today's meeting. Responses will come through in due course. I have just one further question that I neglected to ask earlier when we were talking about the water security project. So I'm on page 181, down at the bottom. Council's contribution of 115,000. I'm just wondering, I assume that's come from the water fund. Had we already allowed for it, or have we had to, does it come from reserves that weren't already earmarked for anything, or have we had to drop something else in order to fund that contribution as well?
Through the chair from memory, that's gone through a previous QBR.
Okay. That's just been sitting there for all that time. Okay, thank you.
But
And I won't have it. So
okay, I just like to say I thought the table was excellent. Not only gives us a basis for where we are dollar wise, but also gives us a basis of how much each project's completed. So that it's excellent what we asked for originally, and I thank the director. Thank you. So
Anybody else?
anyone else write a reply?
Yes, it's the right of reply on that motion. I don't know how many webinars I've done myself or queries I've put through to ministers and through to other councillors in other councils about how they're dealing with their committees. I just feel it very strongly we need to reignite this works committee. We also should do a finance committee. And governance is one of our priorities as councillors, and I do believe having our road infrastructure and the like through works is one of the most important. So that's why I put that forward. Thank you.
Yep. I'll put the motion as is on the screen. All in favour? Councillor Hayden? So the motion is lost. I would put the motion as for further recommendation. I'll put a motion as per the recommendation. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tucker? I don't think I need to speak to this. Any further discussion? If not, I put the motion as per the recommendation in our business papers. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 13, I know there is no urgent business, so we go to 14, closed session confidential reports. Item 14.1, for sale of land debt recovery update. This is a matter under section 10AP of the Local Government Act of 1993, which the General Manager considers is of confidential nature and should be dealt with in the confidential section of the meeting, as it relates to personal hardships of residents or ratepayers. Could I have someone to move us into confidential, please? Councillor O'Connor, did you put your hand up? Councillor Hayden, all in favour? Thank you. Could we cease the recording? Moving into confidential. Thank you, everyone. During the confidential section of the meeting, item 4.1 was dealt with, and the motion that was moved by Councillor Tucker and seconded by Councillor McCarthy and passed was as follows. The council note the update on the forced sale of land process, including option outcomes and final financial results, and request a report on the cost of the forced sale of land process. I note that the next ordinary meeting of Oberon Council will be held on the 21st of April 2026, commencing at 5:30 p.m. in the Oberon Council chambers here at 137 Oberon Street, Oberon. As the Mayor, I declare the meeting closed at 8:51 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance.